Now we're going to do what I call the picture association part of the interview. This is kind of the dessert, if you will, of the interview. We're just going to hold up some pictures here, and you kind of tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
I believe you're 17 here. It's one of the youngest pictures I could find of you.
That's right. I am playing the piano. I always used to have a pencil behind my ear. In fact, I always had 2 pencils behind my ear. I had a red and blue one. So technically it's 3 pencils because one was red on one side, blue on the other, then a regular pencil on that side. Until I was discouraged from being so eccentric. And I slowly
polite way to put it, right?
Yeah. Also, my ears have reshaped. They can't support pencils anymore. But that was a picture for the San Francisco Chronicles. They did a little feature on me. It was the first time I ever had a serious
press
publication write something about me.
Now, tell us about this gentleman.
That's my mentor and the music director of the San Francisco Symphony, Michael Tilson Thomas. And you asked about what could be considered one of the greatest moments in my own career. Mm-hmm. This one, I'd have to say, when he came here, because I brought Michael Tilson Thomas to conduct the Louisville Orchestra, which it's kind of like bringing Michael Jordan to play on the team for just like a legendary figure. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget when I brought him to the first rehearsal, the orchestra was dead silent. Really? Dead silent, which never had. They're always warming up and practicing and tuning and talking. Dead silent for 10 minutes before.
He's a rock star, right?
So we walked on together, and instead of, I don't know, could have said anything, he says to the orchestra, "I'm so delighted to be here. I grew up listening to the Louisville Orchestra's recordings, and they had a tremendous influence on me and an inspiration for me because it was the only way to hear a lot of these composers that this orchestra had recorded. Your impact on music is incalculable." And you could just see every member of the orchestra, Michael Tilson Thomas is here, and he's saying this to us. It was the biggest shot in the arm you could ask for.
Wow.
It was really, really cool.
Now tell us about this project. It was around 2010, I believe.
So this was a video that was made about the Louisville Orchestra called Music Makes a City. Mm-hmm. And this is before I got here. Right. But the whole idea was to tell the story of the Louisville Orchestra's recording history, mm-hmm. which is unmatched, unparalleled. It's a very, very cool story. And Owsley Brown, mm-hmm. Who's a filmmaker, decided that he wanted to take that on in a full-length documentary. And it gave the world a real sense for how important the Louisville Orchestra's impact had been.
And here you are.
There I am.
Performance mode.
That's right. That's performance mode. Yeah. What am I wearing?
You've got several of these. There are lots of pictures of you performing.
Yes.
And this is a program that you were involved in.
Oh yeah, that was a funky concert. It was a fundraiser for a youth orchestra in LA, a very well-known mm-hmm. youth orchestra there, and there were 4 conductors on it. My mentor, Tilson Thomas, John Williams was conducting on it. Wow. I was conducting on it, and then Joey Newman from the Newman family of composers. So that was fun.
And I love this. You're in your zone here.
Yeah, that's at my other job. That's the summer festival I conduct, which is in Southern Oregon. And it's very, very hot. That's why I'm dressed like that.
The many looks of Teddy. Here we go.
Yeah, you've got a lot. Yeah, that's the emo hair. That's emo hair. Yeah.
Leave it at that, folks.
It's like I look like the South Park.
What's this? They've got the silhouette. The spotlight is on you.
Yeah, I think that was a studio picture. That was not an official. Okay. Yeah, that was fun though.
And here we are with one of our former guests, Barbara Sexton Smith.
Barbara.
I think you just arrived in Louisville by the time this was taken.
I think that may have been even one of the first few days because she was the head of the Fund for the Arts then before she became a Metro Councilwoman. I love Barbara. I love her.
And then everyone plays the piano or organ, what have you, in the middle of the street. I mean, why not? Right?
That's right outside my house. And we decided to kind of recreate this moment where I had played at the mayor's Cycluvia event. And we thought, because a lot of people loved that picture, it was in the Journal the next day.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if you can guess who he's shaking hands with here.
So that is Prince Charles and of course his wife Camilla, Duchess mm-hmm. Camilla. And I'm handing him a piece of music that I wrote for him.
Wow.
It's called the Kentucky Royal Fanfare because when mm-hmm. he came here, I was asked to write a piece to welcome him. So this was at the African American Heritage Center, and the Louisville Orchestra brass section mm-hmm. and percussion had just played this piece, and I was able to present the actual bound score. We had it all beautifully bound, and handed it to him. It was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Say. Yes.
And you hadn't been here that long then either, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that was my second season here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, are you aware that someone drew a portrait of you?
I am. Yes.
Yes. I got this.
There I am.
Visual Arts, David Paul, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look like I need to lose a little weight. Oh, picture.
Looks good. Looks good. What's going on here? It's like a jam session with your
Oh, that was so
roadies,
fun.
as I call it.
This was leading up to a Louisville Orchestra concert where Ben Sollee, who's the cellist on the right, was one of the soloists in a piece that Jeremy Kittles, one of the greatest folk and kind of cross-genre violinists, had written. So we were premiering that. It was part of our inaugural Festival of American Music.
That's great. Here you are in your
That's my
homestead.
house right there while I was moving in. As you can see, I had the essentials. I had a piano and an organ.
Yeah, you got to have those.
That was about it.
There you go.
Everything else was in boxes.
This is a funky evening somewhere.
That was what we called the Music Makes a City concert. It was my first year, and that gentleman right there to my right is Ja'Cory Arthur, 1200 as he's called,
Nice.
one of my favorite people in this town. And he just, I barely even met him. I met him once, and he put together the coolest evening. It was the Tim Faulkner Gallery, the old one in Portland.
Oh, okay.
And about 1,000 people showed up,
Really?
including Mayor Fisher, Christy Brown. It was an amazing thing. It was a rap concert. There was a rock band.
Really?
There was folk. Will Oldham sang on it. It was like a whole music festival. I had no idea it was going to turn into this, but we planned it out together. He took the reins and just made
That's
it
great.
amazing.
That's great. Now, this is like the first few days you were here in Louisville.
Day 2 on the job. Day 1 was the first concert. Day 2, I got picked up. Mayor and his team drove me out. We went to 3 locations on West Broadway, and that was one of them.
That's great.
Super fun.
We'll keep trucking
Super
here.
fun.
Conducting away.
Yep, that's a rehearsal right there.
Now, you gave a point of view about dreaming big. You want to talk about that?
I did. My whole goal for Louisville, which I love dearly, I love the city.
It's a beautiful town.
It's a beautiful town, is to get people, though, to believe that the city can be the best. I don't know what that means, but for its arts, it means that we need to dream big and then believe that we can do it. Not say, well, boy, we just love for that to happen, but we can't do it in Louisville. I would say, don't say that last part about not doing it in Louisville. Just say, here's the vision. Follow the vision as far as you can take it. And we've seen on a small scale, I mean, a big scale for us, but a small scale for the global movement for what the orchestra can do when you just follow that vision. We've seen what happens look at Actors Theater going into one of the great companies nationally.
Absolutely.
But keep going. We should not stop there and say, we've got all these excellent arts organizations. Let's talk about being the most interesting in the country and go for it. Try. That was my
Now, being a transplant to Louisville would not be forgiven if you don't go to the Derby. So this is 2016.
I
am. I like the look.
Got that hat.
And here you are at Forecastle. We've had J.K. McKnight on years ago.
Oh, yeah. I love Forecastle.
Yeah, that's a good time.
I've done 3 Forecastles, and each year they ask for more and more and more. And this year was a whole stage. They asked me to coordinate a whole stage of all Louisville-based acts, and I did 3 of them myself. We had about 10 different acts, which was awesome.
Now, here you are. Looks like a pretty intense rehearsal. Can you talk about the red phone?
Yeah, that is a recording session when the Louisville Orchestra made the soundtrack for Thunder. And, when I heard the soundtrack for Thunder my first year, I thought, well, this is good, but wouldn't this be amazing if the Louisville Orchestra recorded the whole thing? Yeah. And so we did. That was a proud moment, watching 750,000 people listening to our orchestra.
Unbelievable. That's your largest crowd. Then. So here you are down here.
That's our largest crowd.
Now, explain this picture. I think this is Chicago.
That is, unless I'm really mistaken, because at a certain point, a lot of concert halls look similar, but that's Chicago Symphony Hall. And I was conducting the Chicago Civic Orchestra, which is part of the symphony there. And it's pretty
Now, this might be
place.
a still from Music Makes the City Now.
That is.
Mistaken.
Yes, that is. Yeah, that's like kind of press photo from that series, which followed me around my first year here.
And you made big time when you make the cover of The Voice.
Yeah, I know. I was very honored.
Yes.
Because you have to step it up fashion-wise to do that.
Oh, yes. They
don't just...
We talked about this earlier, so this is a single.
There he is. Yep. I was very proud. So that was actually the first time I collaborated with Jim James. And then we did a much bigger collaboration this last year. Yeah, but that was a piece that I had written the day after Muhammad Ali passed, because I knew I was supposed to write the big piece for orchestra, but I was procrastinating. So I wrote a small piece, which I knew I could just do. And Gil Holland heard about it. He says, let's get this thing recorded. I said, I'm leaving. I'm going on a trip in literally 18 hours. I said, great, I'll have Kevin Radaman come to your house. We're going to record it tomorrow.
That's Gil.
We're going to have it out.
Yeah.
Sure enough, not only that, then the New York Times even did a little article about it. They picked it up and did a story, which was very cool. It's just watching Louisville all come together after he died and saying, guys, we're going to be creative. We're going to respond to this in a global way. This is our moment.
Quick aside, and it was a beautiful week of weather, if you recall. The weather was like, it was like California. It was like there was no humidity. And it was the second week of June. I always thought that there's somebody watching over.
Yeah.
It was something going on there. Anyway,
it was beautiful.
This is a mural, I believe, in L.A., Los Angeles.
Yes.
Now, did you just take that randomly as you were
I knew it was there, and I wanted to go find it.
Yeah,
I just found that,
on the Facebook page.
LA has a great street art program and a good site to go. It's just south. It's near the Staples Center there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you explain what this album's about?
That's our first album that we released last season and just released it on vinyl this season. We signed with Universal, so that's on the label Decca Gold. There it is. Yeah, yes. Very, very proud of that. The orchestra had recorded hundreds of albums and then stopped 30 years ago. So we put out our album. It's opened #1 on the classical charts.
Nice.
Yes, and stayed on the charts for 3 weeks. We're very, very proud. It's one of my, you talk about an accomplishment, but we're now working on the next album. We haven't said what it's going to be yet. There'll be a big release announcement soon.
You're talking about, the next one's always harder than the first one.
That's right. Yeah,
you're not a one-hit wonder, though. So in my opinion,
no. Season 2, album 2 is always tough. That's when you find yourself, I think.
So how did your relationship with Jim James and My Morning Jacket, how did that come about for what we're about to show?
Well, Jim is, first of all, he's a great, great guy.
And he's from Louisville.
He's from Louisville. He is a genuine, artistic, thoughtful, creative spirit. And I met him. I didn't even know it was Jim. I kind of figured it out later, but I've been talking to him at a party. And that was Jim.
Did he know who you were, or was it just
I think he did.
organic?
It was just it was normal conversation because he's a normal, great guy. But he is a unique spirit in that he can take the things that he feels about the world at any time and put it into music that is always just positive. Even if he's talking about something that's heavy and challenging for humanity, and he takes on the big subjects, it comes out in a positive way. You feel like you can do it. We can make this happen. We can make it better. And that's why I was so just drawn to his music and his approach. And when I saw my first My Morning Jacket concert, it was at Forecastle actually, and I saw the way his fans react. And he was so gracious. He invited me to collaborate on a couple of songs on that concert. So we brought some members of the orchestra up and did a few selections. Then we did the big. This is the one we did the big collaboration. I like this poster with the Louisville Orchestra last year. And so we co-wrote this music. It was all his songs, and then a couple of songs that he selected, which weren't by him. And I created the orchestra parts and kind of stitched it all together like a really big quilt. So that was pretty amazing.
And it looks like you're talking to some school children here.
Yes, we did a collaboration together, kind of as part of working together. We went out and worked with a program called the Young Authors Greenhouse, and that's at Olmsted South, where these are students who come and add during school and after school. They learn to write, and we had them help us compose the lyrics for a song. And then ultimately, they ended up composing their own songs this year. So that was last year, and then this year they did an even bigger thing.
So this is looks like a rehearsal. I can't imagine how many folks are up there.
It's 400 people. That's Carmina Burana right there with what we call our mega chorus. And we build. It's like a Marvel Comics character that gets built, or something. We say or Transformer. We need the mega chorus. That's when it's the U of L chorus. It's the Louisville Chamber Choir, and then all these other choirs, Ballard Choir, the Y-Pass Choir, they all start combining, and we have 7 or 8 choirs representing.
And you oversee all of that.
I get to conduct the whole thing. That is pretty cool.
Wow! And then what's going on here? More conducting.
That's another one. Yeah, more conducting. And I look pretty happy in that one. Yeah,
this is the one that my personal favorite that I saw of you.
Oh yeah,
the man and his work. I mean, you can see the passion.
That's the airport one. Yeah, that's at the Louisville airport. Which, by the way, they didn't even tell me they were putting that there.
Oh, okay.
And then I got the day it was installed. A friend of mine was taking a 6 a.m. flight. I get this text. What?
What is going on here?
Who's texting me at 6 a.m.? I was like, oh, that's nice. That's pretty cool.